What's up everybody, Joe White here, and today I'm making this video because as a truck driver in America who has twice gone to two different trucking schools, twice been forced to put up with trainers, twice fought like hell to get a commercial motor vehicle license, a CDL, commercial driver's license. This story pisses me off to no end. I had my CDL. I got my CDL in 2011. Had it for about 3 years and then decided that I wanted to give it up due to health reasons. Got it back again in 2018 and have had it ever since. Now, my driving record is not perfect. If you followed this channel, you will know that in April, on April 1st, I jackknifed my truck, hit a patch of black ice, going down from Ogden, Utah toward Wyoming, and I jackknifed the truck. I got a ticket for driving too fast for conditions. A lot of people are going, oh, well, that's weather related. How could they write you a ticket? How could the company that you worked for fired me? How could they fire you? It is what it is. But this case right here really makes me mad because and I know what people are going to say. I know what liberals are going to say. They're going to call me a racist. They're going to call me a bigot. They're going to say, oh, people have the right to. No, not when it's like this. Not when it's like this. Because let's cover what happened here. An Indian truck driver, his last name is Singh. He's an undocumented immigrant in this country from Florida, goes out to California and gets a CDL even though he missed 3 questions on the CDL testing. Now, you're allowed to miss things here and there. They don't expect you to be perfect. But generally, how it works is in most states, to get a CDL, you have to go to an accredited truck driving school. You have to study, at least here in Virginia, you have to study your permit, your CDL handbook that the state of Virginia puts out. You then have to go take and get a learner's permit. You have to go take a computerized test where they give you, I believe it's 25 road signs that you have to identify. If you miss one of those road signs, test over. Computer shuts down, doesn't let you go any further. If you somehow make it through the 25 road signs, you are then submitted to a 25 question multiple choice answer test, plus any questions about certain endorsements that you want to get. Okay? For me, both times I had to get a tanker endorsement, which meant different questions about the tanker endorsement. You have to get, I think, at least an 80% on those to pass. Okay? I then had to go with that learner's permit to a truck driving school and pass their written test, pass their pre-trip examination test, where I believe now it is at least, I think, 115 points around that vehicle that you have to point at the part, say what it is, say what you're looking for, and go around. You have to know that the steering column cannot have more than 10 degrees worth of play. You have to know that your slack adjusters can't move more than half an inch. I believe now they've changed it to 1 inch. When I was going through trucking school, I think it was a half an inch. You have to know that it's 4/32 of an inch of tread tire depth on your steer tires, 2/32 of an inch on all the rest of them. But the number one thing that any trucking company asks you on their application And the number one thing that you have to do in order to get a CDL in this country, and in order to get a job in a trucking company in this country, is that you have to be able to read, write, and speak English fluently, not broken, the book says. Fluently. But yet, here's a guy who, Mr. Singh, I can't pronounce his first name. So here is a guy who somehow goes from Florida to California, gets a CDL, hoodwinks them into giving this guy a CDL. He's an undocumented immigrant. How is this guy even able to go through a trucking school when you're an undocumented immigrant? Oh, that's right. The rules of immigration don't apply in the great state of California. They let anybody in there. And these trucking companies, well, I'll get to that in a second. Here's what Mr. Singh does. He's got his buddy in the passenger seat with him, and well, I'll let the news clip from CBS in Miami speak for itself. Watch this clip.
Harrowing new dash cam video circulating on social media shows the moment a truck driver makes an illegal U-turn on the turnpike, causing a deadly crash in St. Lucie County. The victims in that vehicle, all from South Florida, they did not survive.
And tonight, that truck driver you saw in the video is in custody. CBS News Miami's Jim Berry is here with more on the concerns being raised about him. Jim?
Yeah, and of course, guys, this all happened last Tuesday. Florida's Attorney General says the driver was an undocumented migrant who somehow got a commercial driver's license in California. TikTok videos, as you guys pointed out, showed that driver, Harshinger Singh, making that illegal U-turn with his big rig. The truck ended up blocking all of the northbound lanes of the turnpike, while a minivan slammed into the truck and then got pinned underneath. Two passengers, a 37-year-old woman from Pompano Beach and a 54-year-old man from Miami, were killed instantly. The 30-year-old minivan driver from Florida City died later at a hospital. Their names, by the way, have not been released. The accident created an enormous traffic backup on the turnpike and prompted Florida's Attorney General to point the finger at another state.
So he's on the Florida Turnpike, a toll road. Those little cut-throughs that you see him doing that U-turn from, they have signs everywhere. Authorized vehicles only. Authorized vehicles only. In other words, cops, DOT, and emergency personnel, you dumb motherfucker. God, this makes me so mad. And any good trucking company will tell you it's against company policy to do a U-turn. We find out you do a U-turn, you are automatically fired. When I worked for Creek Carrier, you better never have them catch you doing a U-turn. They will jerk you out of that truck so fast it'll make your head spin. But no, Mr. Singh, and then you see him in that news clip, he's just standing on the side of the road. No remorse. Just watching them pull these people's bodies out from under his trailer. When you could have taken the next turnpike exit up, looped around, and gotten back on the correct way. And so now here it is a few weeks later. The lieutenant governor of California, I'll try to put a picture in here for you. The lieutenant governor of Florida, did I say California? I meant Florida. Sorry. Who is a former Green Beret in the Army, goes to California and makes sure that the extradition, sorry, the southerner in me came out there. The extradition of this man happened smoothly. He got escorted by the lieutenant governor of Florida himself. Now, you know, we gotta stop this from happening. If it isn't the guys from India coming over, it's the Mexicans. And if it ain't the Mexicans, it's people from other countries. Russia, a couple of Africans. Doesn't matter what color you are. I don't care about the color of your skin. I care about the fact that you're in this country illegally. You're taking loads away from me that I could be running. So you're taking food off my family's plate. You don't speak English. You don't read English. You don't write English. On your cell phone, everything is. I've seen it, guys. These Indians. I was once in a truck stop at Amarillo, Texas, the TA in Amarillo, Texas. The guy in front of me had a little Bluetooth headset on, so that's how I knew he was a truck driver, and he was an Indian. And he couldn't understand a lick of English, so what does he do? He pulls out his cell phone and uses Google Translate to communicate with the dude behind the counter at the Burger King. Okay? How are you able to have a CDL? You can't abide by the number one rule. But you know how they get away with it? The trucking companies. I blame the trucking companies. I blame the load brokers. I blame people like Uber Freight because they know, oh, you're here to make money to send back to your family back in your country. You don't pay a lick of taxes. They don't pay taxes. Come on, you really think they're sending them a check at the end of the month? No. Unless these trucking companies, you know, hire them on and take taxes out of their check, which then they're required to get a copy of their green card and citizenship papers. So this guy shouldn't, unless he's an owner operator, which even as an owner operator, you have to provide DOT and the federal government proof that you're a U.S. citizen. How is this guy there? How? And I'm all for it. If you want to come to this country, great. Come on over. Come on in. Pull up a seat, as Shania Twain said. But do it legally. At least have enough respect for our country that you're going to come over here and be legal. Learn our language. If you want to be a truck driver, you have to speak English. You have to read English. You have to write English. You should not have to use, if you abide by that rule, you should not have to use a Google Translator on your phone to communicate. But these trucking companies see it as, okay, I could pay this guy far less because he doesn't know any better than what I can Mr. Joe. Mr. Joe wants to go and make anywhere between 45 to 60 something cents a mile. Mr. Singh over here maybe is happy with 25 to 30 cents a mile. And that's why these trucking companies are just as much at fault because they see dollar signs. They see savings. They see shortcuts. And then we're paying the price for it, us American citizens, because when Mr. Singh goes to work for, a Prime Inc., or Mr. Singh goes to work for a Werner, and then Mr. Singh does something like this, their precious little CSA score goes down or shoots up, I don't know. I think CSA is bullshit, but anyways. So then who pays for it? When they shut off the drive-wise or the pre-pass for the scales, and they're bringing everybody from the company in going forward and giving them, big time roto-rooter inspections? Me. I do. Mr. Singh is now sitting in jail in Florida awaiting trial and sentencing. So again, he's costing us taxpayers even more money. And they're saying that they're going to extradite him back over to wherever he comes from, but he has to serve his sentence here in America for killing, I think it was like, what did that news thing say, 3 or 4 people? So not only is Mr. Singh costing us tax money now, He's probably going to cost us tax money for the rest of his life because we're going to have to pay our tax dollars to have him housed in a jail and to feed him 3 squares a day. And yeah, I know he'll work it off or whatever the case may be, but for 2 cents an hour making license plates or working in a ditch somewhere is not that that's nothing. The state of Florida has now stopped providing visas and CDLs for undocumented immigrants. Way to go, Florida. Other states should follow suit. This needs to stop. This absolutely needs to stop. They're killing people because they don't know the rules of our roads. They don't want to learn our language. They don't want to learn the rules of our roads either. They come from countries that barely have paved roads, let alone daggum nice wide interstates that are 70 miles an hour. And I know what people are saying. Well, why didn't the cars just stop? They had plenty of time. They shouldn't have had to, because that truck should not have been making a U-turn in an illegal spot like that. He shouldn't have been making a U-turn at all. There was not adequate room for him to make that U-turn. And because he is the professional driver, because CDL holders are held to a higher standard, or at least they should be, held to a higher standard, he's at fault. And rightfully so in this case. Okay? That is just, that's the way it is. We are held to a higher standard. Even if I'm in my personal vehicle and I get a speeding ticket, my fine and my ticket cost for that speeding ticket is going to be higher than the average regular license holder because I have a CDL. I'm a professional driver. Professional. Keyword. I should know better. And so should this guy. So kudos to the state of Florida, but the extradition needs to happen first. Send him back to where he came from. He's no longer a factor. To me, putting this guy in prison for the rest of his life and making tax dollars pay for it is not going to bring those people back to life. It's not really going to pay a debt. Extraditing the guy first and telling the Mexican government or Indian government or wherever he's from, hey, this guy killed 4 people here. You need to watch him. And he's not to be allowed back over here. That to me is a far better penalty. Instead of wasting taxpayers' money to make sure that quote unquote justice is served. I shouldn't have to pay for this guy's mistake. You know, it's a problem. It's becoming a epidemic, I guess you could call it, in this country. And it has been, they want to complain driver shortage, driver shortage, driver shortage. There is no driver shortage. If there was a driver shortage, I would not have to struggle to find a place to park every time in my rig. If there was a driver shortage, I wouldn't go to the orientations in these companies and see them carting in 20 to 30 people every Monday. Again, it needs to stop. Just because you could pay somebody 25 cents a mile, but yet I want my 60 because I'm away from my family. And yes, I chose the career, but I expect to be well compensated for that. I choose to be away from my family for 3+ weeks at a time and only come home for 3 days. Yeah, I want to be compensated for that. I want my $1,000 a week that I earn, by the way. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. This is an epidemic. This is a problem. We need to get it under control. It's been horrible. It's gotten worse since the pandemic. People think they could just come over here and kill people and, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. He should have never been behind the wheel of that rig to begin with. We'll see you down the road.